Welcome to DU Digimon.
Hello and welcome to DU Digimon and welcome to Jank Tank 11, our 11th one of these tournaments, guys. Jank Tank 10 was really fun, and we're ramping up the Jank Tanks again after the long hiatus that we had before Jank Tank 10. The Jank Tank 10 didn't do as well in terms of views and stuff like that we wanted it to, and it is very much a passion project, guys. So do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment, share, and engage on any of these Jank Tank videos if you're a fan of them. Anyways, let's go over our housekeeping. So first thing, before we go into the actual rules of Jank Tank, is we are doing this before EX10. We're actually filming this on September the 17th, so 2 days before the release of EX10. We will be doing a tier list, at the end of this Jank Tank 11 release. So once we get to the final match and the deck profile, we will be doing the tier list for EX10. And it will just be EX10. BT23 will not be included. Anyways, rest of the rules we've got. Of course, when we're playing Jank Tank, we are not allowed to play any decks from tiers above Rogue tier at all. We only are allowed to play Rogue tier and Jank tier decks as voted on in our community tier lists, of which we'll be getting an update once we go through to the EX10 side of things. Then rule number 2 is no meta engines. So any engines which are kind of obviously top of the meta are not going to be in it. We have got one which contentiously is a meta engine from a certain point of view, but you could also make the argument it's more of an anti-meta engine, I suppose, if that's a thing. But if you guys are unhappy about it, let me know, and we will try and avoid that engine in the future. Then rule number 3 is that along with the normal Bandai limited and restricted list, we do have our own banned cards from the Jank Tank format, which is going to be your BT9 Death Exmon, your BT12 Quartzmon, your EX4 Shine Greymon Ruin Mode, and your EX8 Medieval Gammamon. We did have some people commenting about some other cards, but I think we're going to wait until the EX10 format of Jank Tank until we discuss kind of getting rid of other potential problem cards. There are definitely some which have been mentioned, so stuff like Omnimon X Antibody from BT20, for example, Omnimon Alter S from EX9. So there's definitely a few contenders out there for future bans from Jank Tank. Anyways, let's get into the lists that we'll be looking at in Jank Tank 11. And the first list is Alex's DM Justimon list, which actually is kind of crazy. I mean, when we look at DM in general has had some tops, so you could argue this is maybe a meta engine, and this isn't actually the one that I mentioned earlier, but with the top end being Justimon related and with all of that, I think it's okay to use. And the thing is, DM decks cover a really range in power level. You've obviously got the stuff like Machine Dramon, which does absolutely phenomenal, and you've got other stuff not so much. I mean, technically speaking, the version 1, version 2 DM list was, I think, put into tier 1 on our last tier list, which, to be fair, I don't really agree with. But this is more of a mix of the different versions. This is kind of in general DM list, so I think it's absolutely fine. Do let me know in the comments if any of these lists upset you guys, and obviously for the next Jank Tank, if of course any of these are no longer playable, or still are playable, let us know and we can always look into that. Something that also I've completely forgot to mention is, unlike last time when we did Jank Tank 10, is I've actually managed to film this video before the tournament, so I have no idea how any of these lists did. They're just the lists which are appearing, so I really prefer that. But going into the list itself, some really interesting kind of things with this. Obviously, Justimon itself does a lot of things with the devices, so gaining advantage from getting rid of those devices. So we have got the pawn device, bishop device, queen device, and king device in here. The DM list itself obviously has a lot of really cool inherent things to go along with the Justimons. You've got the Metal Mammamon getting you unsuspend. You've got the jamming from the Gappamon and the Garurumon, as well as the Betamon. You've got the Analog Youth for that kind of consistency, getting that memory and draw. We have the EX1 Analog Youth as well, if any of our stacks die. And we've got the Battle NPC to help play stuff out, which is, I think, is a really interesting tech. We've got blocker, we've got piercing, we've got lots of different keywords going around, and that Vademon is really good against decks in particular that rely on tamers, which 2 of the decks in this Jank Tank 11 absolutely do, and one of them is mine, of course. Let's go on to the next list. And the next list is going to be one of those decks which is quite reliant on tamers, which is Dan's Fenrir Lugamon list. Yep, Fenrir somehow, and I'll put it up on screen just to prove it, ended up in Jank tier. And the only thing I can think of as to why it got voted down that low is because of the fact I used the Fenrir OTK terminology and the old BT17 images. Of course, BT17 Fenrir Lugamon did get limited to 1, so that general consistency is strategy is a lot less consistent. So I think that's why it got voted down so low. But Fenrir, I think, if it doesn't brick, and it can brick really hard, is going to be one of the scariest decks in this. Like, it's spooky. Like, if we do manage to get the Takumi Kazuchi combo, then every deck in this entire format is dead. So it is a deck that I don't really think should have ended up in Jank tier, just because it lost its what made it meta. Doesn't make it bad, in my opinion. But we respect the votes, and it is legal for this format. And in case I did mention it, this is Beardy Dan's list. Next one is Dane with Gammamon. So Gammamon actually got into the final matchup of the last Jank Tank. It came second to Bunnies, and is another list that is quite spooky in this format. It has protection, for example, has a lot of deletion effects, has a lot of keywords, it's got jamming, piercing, retaliation, it's got lots of access to quite cool cards like Crimson Blaze, it's got some consistency tools like the Strongest of Brothers and the Hero Amanakawa from BT21, lots of memory gain, makes big stacks. I think Dane is very confident in this list after last time, the fact that he managed to make it, to second place, and this time I guess he wants to make sure he's getting first. So who knows? Maybe Gammamon's going to take it this time. We'll find out. Next one is Editor Dan with Rocks. So this is his Rocks list, and again, this is another deck that became legal, but is like, it's like a hair's breadth away from being legal. And of course, by the time you guys are watching this, it'll be EX10. And in EX10 it's getting quite a big power boost with stuff like the Magnetic Dramon. So you guys will be seeing this and be like, this is an out of date list. And it is. It is. But timings, etc. We just couldn't do it. If we'd managed to do Jank Tank 11 slightly earlier, it would have been fantastic. But people needed a bit more time to get their cards and stuff like that, which is completely understandable. Hence why we're doing this kind of an EX9 format of Jank Tank in the EX10 release window. But yeah, Minerals is a really strong kind of OTK deck. Once it kind of gets that point, if it gets its full setup, it will just kill you. The fact that this and Fenrir are both in that similar boat, if they get paired up against each other, it's literally going to be like one person waiting until they get their OTK and another person waiting to get their OTK. So could be interesting. Next list. This one is James's Barbamon list. I think he took a lot of inspiration in this list from the Avolt video that came out a long time ago. I think it was the Seven Great Demon Lords versus the Royal Knights video, I think. And there was a video of this versus, I want to say Lord Knight. I could be wrong. But Barbamon is pretty cool. It's one of the few decks in the game that directly deals with the other player's hand size. It does it not necessarily in the best way, but Bandai is very much scared of decks that have that kind of hand control. But it's still got a lot of really cool things going for it. It's got some deletion effects. It's got lots of just purple, general consistency and trash recursion. It's a really cool list, and I know it's definitely been putting things through the ringer in terms of the testing. Be interested to see how it goes moving forward through this tournament. Who knows? Next is my list, and this is the other list that is very reliant on tamers, of course, for the same reason, the mind link mechanic. And in fact, one of our tamers is actually exactly the same as what you see in Beardy Dan's Fenrir list with the Code Cracker and Hacker Judge. But Pulsemon, I still think to this day, is one of the most underrated decks in the entire game. I think this is really good. I still remember back when I played my Pulsemon Takumi Kazuchi build back in BT17, how we came second to full power Imperial Dramon, and the only reason we came second to it is because we were paired up against less successful players in that tournament. We actually drew against Charles and his Imperial Dramon list. So I think Pulsemon is really good, and honestly, of all the decks I own that are jank legal, I think this is the one I've got the best shot of winning with. Genuinely. Like, I have taken on stuff on DCGO and in person with this, and it's stuff that I've been surprised to beat. Like CS, like Omnimon, like, you know, all these quite powerful, potent decks. And Pulsemon is the deck that's doing the business. You know, we've got really good security set minus things on the board. We've got some good consistency with our draws and with multiple searching. We can manipulate our security to get our own effects off straight away. We have an ace mechanic. We could quite easily go into Valderarm as well, which is kind of crazy. And Valderarm could be another contender for banning from Jank Tank, to be fair, because it is a very, very strong level 7. You know, the only thing I need to remember with it, and hopefully I'm saying this on camera so that I don't slap in my mic. I'm saying this on camera so I don't get caught up on this, is I must remember that the Climbmon effect, when it plays something out, that thing is deleted at the end of the opponent's turn. I have to remember that. I'm so bad at remembering that sometimes. No, I love this list. It's also got access to 2 different limited cards as well, with Blinding Ray and HPD. And the cheeky Heaven's Judgment in here for the removal is also quite nice, because our only real way of removing stuff is a little bit of bottom decking from the Shivamon ace, but mainly through beating stuff up, which doesn't always happen. So having that cheeky Heaven's Judgment, even as a one-off, is pretty cool. Next list is Sam's list, and Sam really surprised me with his pick. He has cooked up a Zanbamon list. So Zanbamon, if you don't know, essentially gains security tap +1 for the amount of colours that are on the board, I believe. And yeah, it's quite aggressive. We have got the Dark Animal engine in this. So that is this is the list that I was saying at the beginning you could possibly say as a meta engine, because that Dark Animal list engine is still used to this day in stuff like Leviamon. So like I say, if you're not happy with it, do let us know. We didn't allow the Dark Animal engine for a long time, but then recently kind of went, do you know what, it's kind of tapered off a bit. But then as we said that, and as we got ready for this tournament, obviously Leviamon is kind of finding more success again, because of the way the meta is shaped up. So yeah, let us know if you're not happy about the Dark Animal engine in, but to Sam's credit, I think it was the only way to make this list work. Zanbamon is a very interesting card, but not necessarily the best in the game. We do also have the Anubismon as well as part of that Dark Animal engine. Lots of memory recursion through our inheritable effects. You know, we've got a couple of things like the Grand Drachmon in here, which is quite cool. We've got Jack Raid in, obviously limited there. We've got a Miss Memory Boost. We've got lots of little things going on in this list. So I think it's pretty cool. And our last list is quite possibly the funniest list I think we've ever seen in Jank Tank. And of course, it's Will who created our last really funny deck list. And the list is 50 Eyesmon Scam modes. It's just 50 Eyesmon scatter modes. Now, key observers will note a Barbamon is not legal. However, this is 4 Negamon and 50 Eyesmon scatter modes. I love it. I love it so much. Technically speaking, it, you know, has a lot of draw, because we're going to be trashing the card to then, you know, draw 2. So it can draw a lot and play out stuff a fair whack. But yeah, I feel like this is a deck where it's going to put people on a timer, because he puts his Eyesmon scatter modes out. I'm granted he's going to have to wait a turn for Rush because he's not playing the Eyesmon in this. But the moment an Eyesmon hits the board, the only thing he's going to want to do is swing, because he's got nothing else to do with his turn. Literally nothing else other than playing out more Eyesmon scatter modes. So he just wants to kind of quickly OTK you. So yeah, I think this genuinely, I think it could do quite well. In this format, in no other format, and I'm so proud of Will. Like, if I could, I said this last time when he did a Jank Tank, with his Eyesmon same name turbo list. If there was an award for the most janky deck every time, this is it, hands down. quite possibly the jankiest list of all time, because it literally is 50 Eyesmon scatter modes. That's all it is. And I'm so I don't even care. I want the first match that we have of this tournament to be this deck. I don't even care. I'm making it happen because I want this deck to be on the channel. I just want it. Obviously, we can't film all of the decks. You know, we've got 8 players, 3 rounds. I've only got 1 camera. I can't film all of the matches. You know, because we'd need three cameras for each. You know, well, we need 4 actually. We need 4 cameras for each match that's ongoing and film them all consecutively. And there's just no way I can do that currently. So I promise to you, this will be the first match. It just will be. I willed it so. Thank you, Will. Anyways, that is the lineup for Jank Tank 11, guys. It'd be really interesting to see how all of these decks do, and I can't wait to do this tournament. Literally filming it tonight on the day I'm filming this, so I cannot wait, and I hope you guys can't wait for it too. Like, subscribe, ding that notification bell so you're not missing out on the next episode of Jank Tank 11, which will be coming out tomorrow, which of course I don't know what the match will be. I know Eyesmon Scatter Mode's going to be in it because I've absolutely decided that. I don't know what its opponent's going to be, so I will flash up what the matchup is on screen for you now. But anyways, I hope you guys are looking forward to that match and the rest of the matches for Jank Tank 11, and we'll see you again on that match. But until then, keep it digital.